studio today. And, the colors that I did last night, I did 7 colors to make kind of an ombre gradient sunrise type of set. The last 4 colors in the set the values are too close to each other, so I'm going to actually swap out one of the colors and try and make a couple different ones, and then we'll take all of them and put them together and choose 7 total from the whole set. So I'll turn you around and show you these last 4 colors and how close they are in value. You can see here with these 4 pans of yarn that they do make a gradient, but for me these 4 colors are a little too close in value for the project I'm working on. So I'm going to actually take some of these out of this set and try with a different color. So these 3 pans right here all have the raspberry color in them, which is a very saturated dye, and it didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do. And I could adjust the ratios and maybe make that work, but I think what I'm actually going to do is sub out a different pink color that's much less saturated and a lot less purple, so that when we get to that purple we'll really be able to tell the difference. So here is the raspberry color that I used, and it was by itself, and then also it was mixed with 2 other colors on either side of it to make a gradient. But this one was very, very saturated, and it didn't have the right tone for what I was going for. So I'm actually going to switch to something different, and I'm going to try with this peony to fit it in the middle of my sunset gradient. I don't know if I might end up using some of the skeins that have raspberry in them too in the end for this particular order, but we'll see what comes out of the dye pots when I mix these. The first 3 colors in this set I think are going to be usable as they are without making any changes. So they came out of the steamers last night, and this morning I rinsed them and then put them into a soak with some conditioner to put back some of those natural oils that they lose during the dye process. So they'll be nice and soft, and they have soaked and I spun them out. So I'm going to take those out and hang them up and give you a look at how those colors have come out. And then the new colors that I'm doing have been prepped and they're starting to cook now. Whenever those are done, I will show you those too and show you all the colors together.
I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today, and I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way.
What to do is rinse out all the colors that have raspberry in them and the purple in them, and get them into a soak with some conditioner. So I'm going to work on that. I just want to tell you I use a washing machine to do soaks and to spin water out of my yarn. If you are going to do that, you need to be very careful the way you're setting your washing machine so you don't have horribly tangled skeins or felted yarn. This machine, I purposely bought the bottom of the line machine because I have a little more control over it. Modern machines have some features that are kind of unfortunate for this particular thing, so I'm going to show you how I set my machine when I'm setting it up to soak and then to spin. This is a bottom of the line GE machine, washing machine. that I keep in the dye studio specifically for using for my business. You can see here that I have a washcloth in here. This is just to block it so that it cannot lock after it fills. You can also just leave the lid open, but I needed it down to show you how I'm going to set this. I set this, if I'm doing more than just a few skeins, I will always set the load size to super. Large can also work if it's not too many, but the small, there's barely any water in the bottom, and the regular, not much more than that. So most of the time you're going to want large or super, so that there's enough liquid. And then here, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm really doing a marathon dye session that's over several days, then I have yarn coming out of a hot bath and it needs to go into a soak fairly soon and isn't completely cooled down. Then I will set the temperature to warm, but not hot, because the warmer is actually very warm. On here you can see that there is these options: tap cold, cold, cool, colors, warm and hot. Hot is pretty hot, warm is still pretty hot, colors is about the same as warm, really, and then cool and cold are about the same. I don't think I've ever tried tap cold. If you need to have your hands in it for very long, you're going to want colors or warm. Even with gloves on, cold water after a few minutes on your hands can really hurt. So my yarn has cooled overnight, so I could go cool or cold, but I'm actually going to go warm because I'm going to rinse them first in a lukewarm bath, and this will be slightly warmer than that, so there won't be any chance of felting or anything. And then for here, right now it's set at drain and spin because it's the last thing I did. I'm actually going to turn this to here to fill it. It doesn't really matter where you put it because you're not going to use a washing cycle on these. You just need it to fill. So that's where I choose to put that. And then I put the washcloth here to block where that part would go down in and lock. This machine does not lock while it's filling, but it will lock before it runs. So I put it this way to fill, and when it's filled, then I'll show you what we do next. So these are the first three colors in the sunrise, sunset line that I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep as they are. So this, and again, I apologize for the lighting. It's not the best, but I'll show these when they're fully done. I'll show them in daylight. This is the marigold color on its own. This is the coral pink color on its own. And this is a mixture of the two colors. And here's what they look like side by side. The marigold on the left and the coral pink on the right, and the mix of them in between. So this is the first portion of our sunset gradient. So once I get all of the yarn soaked, rinsed and soaked, I will hang them all on the rack, just like this. I might have to get out a second rack to fit them all in the end, and I will probably set them up with a couple of fans and maybe the heater turned on out here because it's kind of cool, and maybe even turn on the dehumidifier. Normally I wouldn't need to use so many different methods to get them dry because they can just hang until they're dry, but because I need these tomorrow and they still need to be twisted and tagged, hopefully late tonight if I'm lucky, we want to dry them as quickly as possible. In the summertime, it's nice. I can set them out outside. They get fresh air and sunshine, and if the sun's warm enough, they can dry in a couple hours. So, but it will probably take all day to dry, and maybe overnight. I might have to tag them early in the morning. That's what it is. People don't realize how much time it takes when you're doing production. You know, normally, people will ask how long does it take to dye a skein of yarn. Well, one skein or two You can do it start to finish in a little over an hour, and then let it dry, and you have it by the end of the day or the next morning. And production, it doesn't work that way because you do kind of assembly line style. So from start to finish, it can take all week, but you'll have several hundred skeins instead of one or two. So that's what it is. Usually it's, you know, one process or two per day, and that's just what it takes. You have to plan ahead. The washing machine has finished filling. It just stopped, and so now the next precaution I need to take is actually to turn it off. It is full. You probably can't see. I'll show you. But you want to turn it off because you don't want to risk it accidentally, you know, going off. You know, this is my garage. People come in and out through here. I never know what could possibly happen if somebody says, oh, I should let that run, thinking it might be laundry or something, because I do towels, my dye towels and stuff in here too. So I want to make sure that it's shut off, and sometimes I will even leave a note on here, you know, don't touch. So first thing I'm going to do is actually turn this dial to drain and spin, even though I'm not going to drain it right now. I'm going to turn this all the way over here, and then I'm going to hit the start pause button, and it says right on the washing machine, hold 3 seconds to stop. So I'm going to push and hold it until it clicks off and the light goes out. You can see here I've turned it to drain and spin. I'm going to press this button and hold till the light goes out. And so now the washer is off, and if somehow it became turned on and this was shut all the way, then it could drain and spin and it wouldn't hurt the yarn at all. And let me show you inside here how full it is. You can see the water line there just below the top row of drain holes. So you want it pretty full in there. Okay, I'm gonna rinse out some skeins to make sure that any excess dye is rinsed out that didn't get absorbed and bonded, and then we'll put them into soak with a textile softener.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today, and I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke, and I will try to fix what has been broken, and take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken, and I'll let my mind be carried by the waves. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly.
skeins we put in to soak earlier have soaked long enough, and we're gonna now drain and spin them out and then hang them on the rack. And then the last 3 colors, the new ones we did today, are ready to go in for their soak. And I'll bring it back and show you all of the 7 colors together that are gonna be our sunset kit. So to drain and spin this, I have to remove my block so that this little part here can go down into the hole. And I'll go ahead and shut that now, since we had already set this to drain and spin, so we don't have to worry about it going through a whole cycle. And now I'm just going to hit the button to start it. And this machine, it will drain out the bulk of the water first, and then it will start spinning only in one direction. And it pushes the skeins to the outside of the drum and forces the water out of it to go through the drain holes in the drum and drain down the drain. So we'll have just basically damp skeins after that. This particular machine, when it's running on a drain and spin cycle, there's a portion where it will sound like it's agitating, but it is not. It's actually just a pump that is sucking water out. Show you here what the original colors looked like and what they look like with the first half of the gradient. Here we have the whole gradient the way it would have been if I kept the raspberry. You can see here is the raspberry color and here is the purple haze, and then these 2 colors are mixes between colors, and you can see that these 4 are distinct from each other. You can tell them apart, and they would be awesome if I was doing an ombre. But because I need a gradient starting with yellow and going to purple, you know, this just kind of reads as like yellow, orange, and then purple. So I wanted to switch that up a bit. So let me turn the skeins around with the new colors and I'll show you what we're going to end up with. So here is the gradient I think I'm going to use in the end for this particular order. Now you can see there's a much smoother transition between the yellow to the orange to the pink to the purple. So this skein on the left here is the original purple haze. This is the new color, the peony, and this is a blend of them, and then this one is a blend of the peony and the coral pink. So that I think is going to be our sunrise sunset gradient kit. All the yarn is out of the soak now. It's all been rinsed and soaked and it's hanging up. And I've got 3 fans trained on it, and I turned the heater on. So here's to hoping that late tonight or early tomorrow morning I'll be able to get these skeins twisted up and labeled. And tomorrow I will record whatever happens. If they're still wet and I have to take them wet, or if they're dry and I get to twist them up, you'll get to see that part. In any case, that's all I've got for you today. We'll see you on the next video.
I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in.